As of writing the script, the new RTX 5000 series is completely unavailable due to scalpers. Even if you're able to find one anywhere, it's expensive as fuck. Obviously casual gamers, such as myself, aren't really bothered by this. For the last couple of years I've been rocking my GTX 1050 Ti, and now I'm finally upgrading to RX 6700 XT. But this is not a video focused only on GPUs. Although their prices are enormous ever since the crypto mining took off, other things are getting more and more expensive as well. GTA 6 being rumored to cost $100, countless AAA games launching in an awful state, hardware requirements heightening more and more with each year, and FPS games plagued by cheaters. Gaming is in a really bad place today. I think we can all agree that games used to be better, their characters, their worlds, and the overall design was just more memorable. They also usually had consistent art styles, which is way more important for the experience of an average user than pursuing photorealism with every single release. So why is it like that? And no, it's not some vague social politics and woke ideology.
Social politics and woke ideology.
Which, by the way, is a very political phrase. The core issue is, of course, profit. As one of the commenters under the video I clipped mentioned, older games were art, newer games are a product, which is partially correct statement. Obviously older games were products as well, but the video game industry was not deemed as profitable at the time as it is now. Yes, they were obviously products, but made by artists who had more freedom of expression at the time, less crunch, and didn't have to appeal to everyone. Nowadays though, there are more restrictions on what AAA games can include. And no, it's not some woke censorship. What can be included is determined mostly by profitability. It's the same as movies. Here's what George Lucas, the director of original Star Wars, said about the topic.
Back when Russia was the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. And they'd say, oh, but aren't you so glad that you're in America? I said, well, I know a lot of Russian filmmakers. They have a lot more freedom than I have. All they have to do is be careful about criticizing the government. Otherwise, they can do anything they want.
And so what do you have to do?
You have to adhere to a very narrow line of commercialism.
Nowadays, artists are limited in their creativity by multi-million-dollar companies in that the games that they make have to be kind, non-controversial, appealing to the largest audience possible, they have to be profitable, they have to sell, and the shareholders need to make money. Today we also see a lot of crunch in game production. Companies prefer to overwork their workers to make the product quicker. That results in burnouts and lack of creativity put into the games. That's the reason old movies were better. They were not as commodified as they are now. Same with video games. Artists were allowed greater expression, discovering and exploring the new world of video games. Nowadays, they don't care about the audience, they care about profit. That core issue of our system is slowly destroying our society from within, and gaming as a hobby by its extent. And while competition in the market is good for GPU prices, it doesn't fix the core issue, and it won't make gaming affordable. The standards move. What's acceptable moves further and further. If AMD or Intel makes a new GPU series, they can lower the price, but they will still set the highest possible price that they can while still making profit. AMD GPUs aren't cheaper because AMD has the interest of gamers in mind. They're cheaper because they wouldn't sell if they weren't. I don't think I need to say this, but brand loyalty is stupid. The interest of people who enjoy video games and companies producing hardware, games, peripherals, etc. are fundamentally different. We want the best quality with the lowest possible price, and they want the most profit possible. That means least acceptable and competitive quality with the highest possible price. They will use marketing, additional features, and cheaper models to promote their brand, so you trust them and buy future models. Now, some of you might say, but if not capitalism, you wouldn't have those products at all, which is an incorrect statement. If industry is democratized, if we don't have billionaires that profit from every product sold, the production won't disappear. It's actually the other way. We could get better products for cheaper prices, without the guy at the top who leeches off of everyone, both workers and customers. Let's compare actual historical examples and see what happens when products are made not for trading, but for use. DDR. I know, most of you Yankees having fed Red Scare propaganda from day one of your lives. Of course, former socialist experiments weren't perfect and had their problems, but we can talk about that some other time. I want to focus on how products were made in East Germany versus West Germany and the rest of the capitalists. Now, an important thing when we talk about this is the concept of planned obsolescence. Since the dawn of trading, people have made poor products that don't really meet the expectations of customers. be it scams, poor copper, bad bread, etc. But with the dawn of modern technologies came less obvious scams. A great example of this is Phoebe's cartel. Basically, after World War I, the biggest producers of light bulbs, including General Electric's, Philips, Osram, and others, agreed to shorten the lifespan of a light bulb from 2500 hours to 1000 hours. What that means is, light bulbs lasted shorter, so you had to buy more of them. They made the product worse to increase profit, and because they were the main producers, there was no one to challenge them. That ended with the start of World War II, but similar practices are used to this day, and you can see them everywhere. Great example of planned obsolescence today are printers, prices of ink, and the fact that they break down a few days after the warranty. Now, let's go back to the point. Why do I even mention DDR? Well, I want to compare products made in socialism against the products made in the capitalist world. Fridges are my favorite example, stolen from YouGopnik's video on planned obsolescence.
In the DDR, for example, a country I'm very critical of, but a state with undeniable successes in certain fields, sanctioned the minimal lifespan of fridges at least 25 years. In 1981, the DDR created an ultra-long-lasting light bulb. Yes, we're back at the light bulbs. And when they went to an international trade fair, their Western colleagues told them, "Guys, you will literally make yourself unemployed." The engineers replied, "No, actually, by saving resources and not wasting money, we will get to keep our jobs." Two societies with two different outlooks, with two ideologies, and with two different fucking fridges.
Imagine a modern fridge lasting 25 years today. Damn. Socialist era products were actually products that you owned. You bought a PC mouse? Well, here's every single technical detail about it, so in case it breaks, you can bring it back to life.
While I've got to give them full credit for including not just a nice little drawing of the mouse, but even full electrical schematics. That's so cool, right?
Nowadays, the right to repair is held back by corporate lobbyists who basically pay politicians to act in their interest against the interests of customers. Another thing is perceived obsolescence. I'll just give a TLDR, go watch the mentioned YouGopnik video for further explanation. Basically, new GPUs release every year, sometimes with more power and new features. And while your RTX 2080 Ti is still a beast, running new games at high settings with 60 FPS, the new GPU's overshadow its glory and make you perceive it as obsolete, convincing you to buy the new product. DLCs and microtransactions. Some years ago, game developers invented a way to make money off of that game long after its release. Loot boxes, pay to win, stripping the original game of content and releasing it as a DLC. We all know it by now, and we all hate it. I think you get it by now, so I won't get deeper than saying that it's because fat fuckers who invested millions into the company want to gain more millions that they put in. Not all DLCs are bad though, like the Witcher 3 DLCs. And while they still follow the same principle of profit, at least the company cared about the quality of the product. But that's just one of the rare exceptions. And finally, damn wokes are taking over my games! It's a meme at this point, but I will respond to this loud minority of gamers very briefly. There is no woke ideology. It's not an ideological struggle between base gamers and woke companies. It's just another tactic of making profit. The same with Netflix. You think Netflix includes black people because they care about them? Obviously no. They don't give a shit. They made Little Mermaid black to spark controversy, otherwise no one would ever mention the movie. No one would ever care about it, but thanks to this strategy, everyone knows it. Every MAGA uncle talks about it at the dinner table. Games don't include LGBT characters because of some ideology that doesn't really exist as a coherent ideology. They do it because, well, those people exist, and many of them take part in game production. They also want to appeal to those communities, so they buy their games. Or sometimes, for example, in the case of new Assassin's Creed, they add it to spark controversy, so people talk about their game, and thus more people buy it. As a Polish saying goes, it doesn't matter what they talk, it matters that they're talking. No idea if I translated that well. It doesn't matter what people say about the product. If they're talking about it, it will rise in popularity. Think about it. Ubisoft is in a bad state. Most people have forgotten about AC games. With the new game, they wanted to spark controversy. And while some people might not buy the new game, many people will be reminded that, hey, Assassin's Creed exists, and they might buy the new game or purchase older ones that they missed. And now, as a personal note, I do consider video games an art form. I wrote stories inside video games, and while it didn't pay, it was very satisfying, even making me sign up for an overpriced narrative designer course. My dream is to one day write storylines for actual games, but the state of the industry makes me sad. And truly all hope is in the hands of independent artists, so-called indie studios. The industry is also really competitive to get into, which doesn't make things easier. But anyways, have a good day, and I hope that you learned something from this video. This is the first video I've ever made, so excuse me for any technical issues, bad montage or whatever. I'm kind of stressing while reading the script, so I might sound like a robot. But, well, I have wanted to start a channel for a long time now. And if you're interested, you can subscribe, like, share your thoughts and opinions in the comments. And I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.